Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about The Girl in the Tower Part 3. This is the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. When we last left off, we had talked about how Claudine was going around and lying to a lot of the doctors about her daughter having multiple diseases, and was using these stories as a way of kind of keeping not only Gypsy to herself, but as a way of getting more money and funds from other people and getting more money from her ex-husband Rod. And the family had started noticing that Gypsy was perfectly fine, and had actually gotten to Claudine's father Claude and told them that on multiple accounts they did not believe that Gypsy was as bad off as Claudine had said that she was, and that on numerous accounts had actually witnessed Gypsy getting up out of her wheelchair and walking. It is at this time that Claude would actually confront Claudine about the events, and she would just get up and storm out and move out and start moving farther and farther away. And if you also remember, from the moment that she had moved in with her father and stepmother Laura would also fall ill, and after Claudine had actually moved out with Gypsy, that Laura's health would actually get better. And a lot of the family members would then speculate that Claudine had actually tried poisoning Laura with Roundup weed killer. Gypsy would later testify and talk to interviewers and say that at a very early age, Claudine had actually taught her how to lie. It is actually said in an interview that most of her life she was just taught to lie, and taught to lie without having a guilty conscience about it. It wasn't until the events that would happen in the future that she actually started telling the truth. So from an early age, she was just taught that, do not tell the truth, to lie, and basically say whatever to get what you want out of life. And during these doctor visits that Claudine would actually take Gypsy to, Claudine would actually prep and groom Gypsy and how to act. And she would go and tell Gypsy to just stay in her wheelchair, play with her Barbie doll, and would also remind her, remember, don't move your legs. And if she did any of these things, Gypsy was very terrified because she knew that there would be dire consequences when she got home. There, Claudine would actually tell the doctors about a large number of diseases claiming that her daughter had, such as epilepsy, heart murmurs, having both eye and ear problems, had a drooling problem, GERD, and the list goes on. She would also tell the doctors that she was paralyzed from the waist down, that she suffered with muscular dystrophy, and suffered with ALS. And around the time that Gypsy got to be about the age of 13 or 14, she started telling the doctors that she had the mindset or the mental capacity of a 7-year-old. Between the times of 1995 and 2015, Gypsy would actually undergo over 100 medical procedures and surgeries, and she would not even need any of these surgeries and procedures. And these procedures would have a pretty large effect on Gypsy. She would have procedures done both on her eye and her ears. She would have a stent put in her ears, and she would also have procedures to have hearing aids. She would also get procedures on her eyes and have eye surgery to fix being cross-eyed and not even being cross-eyed. She would even go and get a procedure done to prevent her from drooling. And during all this, was taking multiple medications. And because of all the medications that she was taking and not needing, her teeth began to rot out. And this would actually lead to her having dental procedures done, to having her teeth fixed. Claudine would actually go and claim that Gypsy was getting cancer, and they began giving her cancer medication. And at this point, Claudine would actually go and shave Gypsy's head and say, and I quote, "Well, your hair is going to be falling out anyway, so we might as well make it neat." It is said at this time that Claudine had began writing and reaching out for help for financial aid from different organizations, claiming that she did not have enough funds to keep up with taking care of a child with so many health issues. Not to mention that she was regularly receiving $1,200 a month from Rod from child support, and that those financial aids actually would not come into fruition until about 2005, where Claudine and Gypsy were living at a low-income housing in Missouri. And as I had said before, that Claudine would not receive help from these organizations until 2005. And that is because where she was living at, on August 25th, 2005, Claudine and Gypsy would fall victim, as many other people had, from the catastrophic events of Hurricane Katrina. It is at this point that Claudine would go and reach out to multiple people, claiming that not only had they lost their home, but lost all of the medical records for Gypsy. And this would start getting somewhat of celebrity status, and they were on multiple news interviews. And Claudine really started sharing these stories about Gypsy, but we don't really know if they were really truths or just fictitious lies that Claudine had made up to more or less win people over to send money. On one occasion, she had told interviewers that Gypsy had taken money she had saved up for a Disney trip and donated it to people around town so that they could have food and blankets for the winter. She would say in another interview that one day they were walking and Gypsy would look over and say, "Hey, mommy, look, a flower." And she would say, "Yes, honey, it is." And Gypsy, in return, would say, "Well, we did not see that flower yesterday, so how lucky we are to see that flower today." As I said, I don't really believe there's any truth to a lot of these stories that Claudine was telling the news people. I think it was more made up lies to make people just kind of send money to her. But out of all the lies that Claudine was telling the world at this point, the only lie that we do know is an actual fact is, at this point, Claudine started lying about the age of Gypsy. It was at this time that she started calling her daughter 12 years old, when in actuality she was actually 16. In March of 2005, an organization by the name of Habitat for Humanity would actually get wind of Gypsy and Claudine's story and would actually fly them over to Springfield, Missouri. There they would tell the girls that they would bring together and try to organize and build them a home. The entire community would come together, and in October of 2005, Habitat for Humanity, neighboring people, and paramedics would all come to the aid of Gypsy and Claudine and help build them a home that was more suitable for Gypsy's needs. Some of these things included a ramp that could be brought up by her wheelchair and a jet-powered bathtub that she could soak in to relax her muscles. Unbeknownst to them, that Claudine and Gypsy was conning the entire world.